Hello, found footage fans, and welcome to We Found a Tape. We're a podcast dedicated to all things found footage. Shaky cams, paranormal sightings, and everything with an authentic edge to make it all feel real. My name's John,
And I'm David.
and join us as we hit play and uncover what lies beyond the tape. Welcome everyone to another episode of We Found a Tape. Today we're going to be going all the way back to 2015, and we're going to lock ourselves inside Classroom 6. Oh, this was a pick by David. Initially, you mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, and we ended up deciding on doing Milk and Cereal last. So now I thought it'd be time to give us a chance to talk about Classroom 6. So, David, you told me about this. We were on the subject of movies that are found footage that are on YouTube, to which there are quite a collection of. What picked or what made this stand out to you, or made it pick your fancy?
Look, to be honest with you, I picked this in 2016, okay? When I saw this movie, we're just going to chalk it up to I was high as a kite when I watched this movie, so I was extremely scared of this movie, but I don't remember much of it. I remember the peak points, the tennis balls, things like that, when I watched it way back when, because we're in 2025 now. And I was like, okay, let's give it another shot. It's fresh in my brain. What the hell? Let's give it another shot. And I kind of wish I didn't.
Oh man,
All right, I'm not gonna lie to you. I kind of wish I didn't. I can't get back an hour and 16 minutes of my life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that might be a bit extreme for me. I think it might. There's definitely a lot to digest with this one. That's for sure.
I will give it that. A lot happened in the last 16 minutes. Maybe even 20 minutes. But there was so much dragging on and on and on through this movie. But you know what? Before I even we start going through all of this nonsense. Let's hit him with a synopsis.
Okay, I think I've got a good one. I think
Are
I
you
have a
sure?
good one.
You sure?
I'm fairly certain.
All right. Hit him with it.
Okay. Classroom 6 from 2015. Locked in a school known for disappearances, a news crew pay the price for the ultimate story.
Yeah, they paid it in tennis balls.
You paid it in tennis balls and compasses.
In compasses, yeah.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Classroom 6. 2015, directed by Jonas Odenheimer, I think his name is. Odenheimer, yep, that's right. This was, I think, filmed in California. My understanding from the facts that I've found on this one, the entire film was shot in 3 nights and half of a day. And it's funnily enough on IMDb, there's 2 facts about the timeline related to this film being made. The entire film was shot in 3 nights and half of a day. And the entire movie was shot in less than 48 hours, spread out in 3 days. I'm like, wow, Steiner math. That's how that feels.
40 plus 47 is 100.
Exactly. But yeah, I was curious on this when you brought it up. Originally, I thought I owned it on DVD. I don't believe I do. I did get a stack of incredibly unique found footage films for my birthday a few months ago, and I thought this one was in it, but it turns out it wasn't. I think there's another one. I think it's like episode 6 or something like that, episode 1 or something like that. That's quite
Episode
something. Yeah, I think that ended up or where I ended up with it. But ultimately, this movie's on YouTube. You can watch it. It's also available on Hoopla if anyone uses Hoopla. I looked up on Just Watch, which is a great tool for any film fan. If you ever need to find out where a movie is streaming online in any country, get the Just Watch app. That's not sponsored. That's just a good piece of wholesome advice from John at We Found a Tape.
That, my friends, is not a prediction. It's a spoiler.
Exactly. And speaking of spoilers, for anyone that hasn't seen Classroom 6, this will contain spoilers. I'm going to spoil it right now and tell you that not a whole lot happens. So there's not really much to spoil.
Hoopla!
But yeah, I mean, you know, it's your 2015, around about that era, found footage was fairly prominent in terms of there was a whole abundance of found footage movies that were just pumped out in order to advance people's careers or, you know, just to get that in motion. And I can appreciate that, but the quality around about this time generally was fairly mid to low tier.
Very, very, very shaky.
Very shaky indeed. So this doesn't really stand out to me as something that's truly groundbreaking in terms of found footage. We've been fortunate enough in this show to come across some really unique ones that were refreshing and sort of putting their own spin on it. You can feel it comes from a fond place of found footage, and there's definitely elements of that. I think it's definitely from someone that understands the genre, where the tropes are, and you know, you can always feel that when someone makes a found footage movie. You get that feel to it, like it doesn't feel manufactured. Like there's some that feel manufactured, and those are usually the ones that we like the least. This one is definitely that element, but there's a whole lot about it that it just gets muddled. It gets muddled in terms of the story. I found it myself getting muddled in terms of the characters, because I felt like people were just showing up. They were just showing up to this school and just were there. I don't know if you found that as well, David.
It kind of felt like, you know, they were having a party at this time, and, you know, they just threw out random flyers around town. It's like, hey, you know, go ahead and show up for the party, the ghost party. And so here's my thing. The whole story thing was muddled because there were so many people that got interviewed. Well, I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of people. There were students, there was a teacher or principal that got interviewed, and, you know, other people got questioned, but everybody had like a different story. You know, some said that, you know, this all revolves around a missing teacher and a student, right? It was a guy and a girl, and one of the rumors going around is that, you know, that they got together, they hooked up, teacher and student, and disappeared. You know, another one is that, you know, there was some like devil occult stuff going on. Then another one, the one that I found interesting, was that there's dimensions and portals that are involved here. And when I watched this back in 2016, I don't remember any dimensions or portals. I could have sworn there was ghosts and hauntings and, you know, spirits of children that popped out in this. Nothing. The tennis balls I remember vividly, but everything else, nothing that I remember. But yeah, there's just a lot going on here. A lot of open gaps, a lot of like things that are like, why is this happening? You know, what was the point of this? A lot of people being whiny little bitches in this movie.
David's least favorite thing about any movie ever is when people
Yeah.
whine, bitch, and complain.
It's like, why are we complaining about this? Why aren't we working together to get out? Everybody wants to complain and bitch and
Oh, that's good. Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely in alignment there. Like, for me, honestly, the start of this and the end were probably the most cohesive part of this. I definitely appreciated the sort of sit down element of the interview that they had with the person that ran the Channel 7 news studio. He was like a producer or something. He was the producer of the main character that was Annie Monroe, who was this go-getter journalist who started off, in the mailroom and then doing public access type news, and then now she would bring ideas to him for stories, and the story of the missing teacher and student from the school, originating around Classroom 6, is what she brought to the table, and ultimately he agreed and signed off on it. That was a good performance for me. I think it was believable at that point. It looked real, felt real, and from there you sort of dive into the footage of Annie and her crew going around the school and documenting about it. I liked some of the parts in here as well where they would have like their mistakes. So if they like stumbled over their words, or if they had to redo a line, or something was in the background or whatever, like they were just like, okay, let's do it again. Those are definitely elements I enjoy in a found footage film to make it feel a bit more real. I appreciate those. It feels more like found footage. The elements I didn't like, there's probably a longer, extensive list of things I wasn't a huge fan of in this, which we'll go into in a bit. But one thing that really kind of irked me off the top of my head was the fact that there was random clips from later in the film, like merged in, where it was like overlaid and like glitchy and all that. Like that stuff like that kind of irked me, because the clips were like not super long, but like they were long enough where it felt like you were just sort of jamming them in, and I don't really understand it.
yeah, I mean, it would have been cool if it was like flashy pictures, but they were like whole like scenes that were long enough for you to just kind of like see what is going on.
Right.
I can see that. The and it didn't really give that authentic, like, is it a haunting? Is it is it an evil thing? Is it something that crossed over from another dimension? It just seemed like just stuff muddled in with other stuff. Like you said, I'm going to use your word, muddled.
Yeah, like it felt sort of muddled, especially that sort of main section in the middle. There was a lot of jumping between times, because there was at one point it jumps like 3 weeks prior, where I guess this is where they start to investigate the whole Classroom 6, and they're meeting people who went there. Like that didn't add anything. It didn't really add anything to the story. Like, I don't think we need to know the origin of where they found this whole story, or this Classroom 6. Like it definitely wasn't needed, and it kind of it wasn't, like, again, super long, but long enough to where you're just in that, and you're just kind of like, well, 1 minute ago we were looking at found footage that was from the school that they were investigating, and now we're 3 weeks ago in a completely different interview during the day, like nothing to do with the school other than they're talking about it. Like, I don't know. It just felt like if they started there and then like moved on, like they gave because they gave dates. If they just sort of switched that around even put that at the start. Like here's the start of the found footage, and like just went through and like one sort of continuous thing, none of the glitches or anything. I think honestly, there would have been a bit more cohesion in there. You know what I mean?
There was a lot of disorganization in this film. I liked the concept of bringing in the psychic, though. It definitely added to it a bit. The thing that annoyed me was that whenever he would like feel something and it went away, the girl in his ear, well, where did it go? And how do you know it was here? And things like that. Those are things that annoy me. Like that's the whiny shit that I'm talking about. Like this girl was acting like, like this guy was like he was a goddamn Ghostbuster, you know what I mean? He's just a psychic. Like, they were really laying on the clueless person, listening to somebody that's educated in this. Like they were laying it on really fucking thick, you know what I mean? And it was just annoying thick.
Right. And I agree with you. I like the character of the psychic, which was played by, which was Jack, was the psychic's name. I think I did appreciate the performance by, or the actress that played Annie. I think she was quite a strong lead. Like I could see that. Like definitely, out of all of them, she's the standout. The cameraman wasn't a fan. Dan, I think he was the sound guy. The two others that were there,
why were they even there?
Why were they even there? I think it's something about like one was an actress and the other guy was just there. I don't know. I didn't even catch their names. One was Amanda, which we found out later.
Right.
The other guy, and I had to look this up on IMDb. Maybe I just missed it and wasn't paying attention. Apparently, his name was Gaston.
Gaston.
Like I've turned the gas on.
Yeah.
Like
I was gonna say like Gaston from Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, that's it. But mine was just a joke that I've left the gas on, so I don't have to watch this fucking movie. But there
was a whole lot of Gaston in this movie.
Yeah, like I don't know. And one thing I found as well, the guy who was like, he was like a principal of the school. I think it was like a college. Again, that was muddled up. They kept referring to it as school. They kept referring to it as a college, an institute. I don't know, but whatever. The principal or whatever. He his name was Michael Keaton. That's the name they gave him. I was like, this guy's fucking Batman.
I'm Batman.
But yeah, I mean, and there was moments where he was like, his performance was quite good as well in what he was doing. The principal, he's kindly showing them around, and then when they start to like get annoying, like you've alluded to before, that's when he sort of snaps and starts screaming, shouting, and he's just like, is that camera is it recording right now? And he's like, oh no, and then that's when he flips out and crashes out, and then turns around and sees the camera still has the little red light. He's like, is that recording? What's that red light for? He's like, oh, it's charging.
That was the stupidest. Oh, it's just charging. Like, dude, put some tape over it, amateur.
Yeah. And then he's like, yeah, everyone just get out.
And then she's all like, did you have that recording the whole time? Of course, I'm a professional. Of course I had this rolling the whole time. Shit, if you're a professional, put some tape on that red light.
Yeah. If you're wanting to hide it.
Definitely not a professional.
Yeah. The dean, he's the dean, not the principal. The dean of the college or whatever.
See, and this is what threw me off. In the beginning, it made it feel like it was a high school, right? But then later it's a college. So I don't know. So many things.
Yeah.
That were wrong about this movie. A lot of things that I didn't remember what it was, and this is like one of those things where if you watch it, what are we from 2016 to 2025? That's like 9 years. You age 9 years, your brain becomes mush, and this is the product of it. So try to revisit things every couple of years, not every 6 years.
For sure, and as well. I know we're talking, about the specifics of this. It's really just our preference and our experience of watching these. 100% check out all kinds of found footage, even if people say it's bad. I
Yeah.
actually love doing that, because if someone tells me that a found footage movie is bad and I find more points that I like about it than what I dislike, I find that to be a great success. And I think it's definitely more satisfying to find a movie that you enjoy, because there is a whole lot of found footage that's manufactured, pumped out, and it's just bottom feeder trash. And when you find good ones, hold on to them and tell people about them. Absolutely.
Yeah. And there's been so many times that I've gone into like found footage groups on Facebook, and people have said, "Oh, this movie is shit. Don't waste your time." They'll say it in the most horrible way possible, right? But I've gone to see these movies, and these are some movies that I enjoy. So, I mean, don't let one person deter you from, watching any kind of found footage movie or any movie in general. You're gonna resonate with it differently than somebody else did. Don't let their opinion and um, the outlook that they had on it, affect how you're gonna see it. See it through your eyes, and you're gonna see something different. You're gonna see what you see could resonate with you, and you could think it's an amazing movie. And I don't know how many bad movies are out there that are outside of horror and found footage and things like that people think that are such shit, and those are like guilty pleasures that I watch as background noise or things like that. So go out there and get some experience. Let these episodes, whether they're good or bad, give you suggestions to watch some movies and put some found footage culture in your life.
Hell yeah. I love that, David. We always have to have some sort of positivity to try and outbalance the negative. So let's go back to the negative. One of my pet peeves, and it's ironic considering the fact that I have this in my background of the video right now, but that's just for me to look cool. But when you have a static camera that has that little record icon running from the camera, that's not what the camera would be recording, unless you have a camera that's recording the screen of another camera. It's not going to show that overlay to show that it's recording with the battery level. They set up static cameras in this. One of them was in the women's bathroom, which fucking pervert. Secondly, it was in the hallway, which is a creepy looking hallway in itself, right? And there's one in like the classroom or whatever where they're hanging out, with all the gear and stuff. They're all set up as if they're like static, like GoPro type security cam type things, and they all have the same overlay of that record. That is a pet peeve of mine, I have to say. And maybe I'm just nitpicking here, but like, if you're gonna do it right. Like it didn't need that. Like, I genuinely think that the stuff that they had was good enough in itself. It didn't need a filter or an overlay to show that it was of other footage. Like, it can just be there interspliced. Like, you can always find a reason for having different points of view when it comes to found footage, right? This has been edited for, of all the footage that was found based on the timestamps, like something like that. That gives you like a linear path of where everything's going. When you try and get too fancy, and especially if you're talking about things like portals and dimensions, usually that comes with like you end up doing too much and it gets over complicated. And some things like that just get put by the wayside. Like, just like some context, I think, goes a long way. We've said that before in certain cases. Like, context can just go a long way in terms of a story, and it makes sure that it's cohesive and moves along. And this runtime isn't too much. I mean, it's hour 16 is what it is. So if you have an hour 16 and you want to watch a found footage film, that's one.
And it's free on YouTube, so I mean, you don't get no better than that.
Yeah. But no, that's my my main sort of pet peeve in found footage in general. It's not specific to this movie. Any movie that has a recording stamp in the overlay, like on whatever footage they have, I just shake my head a little bit.
Just don't use it.
Right. And then another part where I was finding myself getting confused, especially in that last 15, was when they start hearing Amanda and her voice, and she's screaming and shouting, and Annie's convinced that she's still there and she's going to try and run and help her. And they're like, no, this is not Annie, or this is not Amanda, so don't go down there. And then suddenly she has this freak out where she can hear her mum's voice, and she's convinced that she can hear her mum.
Oh yeah.
It just kind of threw me off a little. I was just like, well, first of all, why aren't we hearing that? If we've heard Amanda screaming down the hallway, how come we haven't heard her mum? And why? Like, what conjured this? Is this a demon? Is this a spirit? Is this... I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know if this was, like you said, a ghost, a spirit. If this was like Event Horizon, where they crossed over to another dimension, opened the portal doors, and evil came from another dimension, and it's just loose in the school or the college or whatever it is. There was a lot of like... It was too many things right there at once to leave you hanging to, there was nothing to give you as far as like, was it one or the other? Or, it's just kind of like leaving you with your hands up. Like, what do I do with my hands now?
Yeah, I've lost count how many times in this episode alone I've thrown my hands up in the air. Maybe I'll get a hands thrown up counter. It's funny you said that. It just made me think. I was just kind of like, come on. And there was a good amount of that. I mean, I always feel bad when I talk negatively about a film, especially with these independent, low budget. Kudos to you for doing what you've done. You're moving the genre forward, but also, if this is something that you're truly passionate about, then there's definitely some areas where you can tighten things up and make it more of an experience for your viewers. And that's what I really want people to take away. Like, this isn't personal. It's not anything like that. Like, it never will be. And I'll always check out someone else's other films. Like, if they make other found footage films, I'll check them out. I'm always down for that. We love the genre. We're also trying to move it forward. And it's unfortunate that there's times where you do come across films that aren't... Not everything's going to be to the caliber that we're always going to watch. This is a genre known for a little bit of poor quality here and there.
Yeah.
And that's to say it lightly. But,
sometimes that poor quality makes the movie, So,
yeah.
I mean, it works in their favor and sometimes it doesn't.
Totally. Yeah. I do think it's more so like a quality control thing, and just, making decisions that I think will advance the story or advance a certain character and things like that. There's definitely influences. I felt a lot of influence from like Grave Encounters. Definitely for me was coming through. I think when I also watched an interview with the actress that played Annie, her name's Valentina Kolarich, and she mentioned that the movie felt like a cross between Blair Witch and Paranormal Activity. I'll agree to disagree, but there's definitely moments of grave encounters for me. I think, yeah, it's yeah, it was a quick watch though. It wasn't particularly hard for me to watch, and I think that definitely is another good point for it. Like it,
Right.
it is a shorter run time. It wasn't super, but the problem is that there was a lot of questions that we were left with, as we know.
Right. A
So,
lot of questions. A lot of questions.
right,
But
and when you're not satisfied with the answer, that's where you get confusion and you just ugh.
yeah. But I did enjoy. So there was a point where, and I can't remember which guy it was, the one that went into the bathroom with the flashlight and got sucked into the stall. I did like that little bit there because it was kind of like he was sucked into a portal. He was just gone. You saw the flashlight under the stall. So that led me to believe, dimensions or portals are involved here because he was sucked in and he's gone. What threw me off after that was they found the psychic. It seemed like he was kind of like sucked away the same way on the other side of the door. But when they open up and go into classroom 6, you see all the desks pulled into a cabinet in the back and they find him hanging. It would have been more believable for me if we went the portal route, if all the desks were sucked there and there was nobody there. Maybe like his tennis ball or something was left behind. That would have given an indication that he was sucked into a portal through that, and the force of it sucked all the desks in that direction. That would have like been more believable in the portal stuff,
Right. Yeah. There was definitely there's a lot of ideas. I can tell that there was again there was thought put into this, that's for sure. And when it comes to portals, like there is a lot of technical stuff really to go into, because they're not just they're just come out of nowhere. Their explanation is that any reflective surface in the school, because this teacher who was into the occult opened up the portal, any reflective surface could be turned into like a portal type, like doorway type thing. And and the hilarious part was, as he's given this sort of monologue of talking about like the portals and all that, there's a doorknob right beside him, and at one point he's explaining all the things that can be reflective, and one thing he says is a doorknob, and it's sitting right there, and they're like, well, they're in the classrooms. He's like, but it's not in the hallway. It's like, well, so we're only stuck in classrooms with reflective surfaces on the inside, and it can't come out. Like, I'm pretty sure, especially with windows are two-way.
Right. Yeah, there was a lot of gaps in the story and things like that. Definitely stuff to work on and stuff, but there were a couple of good bits in there.
Yeah, and one part that I found quite entertaining, actually, it gave me a good chuckle, was and again, this goes back to the found footage tropes, is when she's sitting and she's documenting into the camera, saying about whoever finds this, like, do this and tell my parents and do this and all that. And like, one of the guys is like, what? Why are you doing that? Nobody cares. I was like, usually people will, go on ramble, go on talk about their family. Right. And then, I don't know why, but I just got a fright there. Whatever. When you were like writing, I just like scared myself. Jesus. It's been a day.
John has pooed his pants, everybody.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know why, just the way that you said right came through weird. It was like almost muffled, but like loud at the same time. And I just like was looking away at the time, and it like caught my ear and like caught. I don't know. That was weird. Maybe I'm just waiting for a tennis ball to come flying over my shoulder.
If it does, man, just run for the door. I mean, just be sure and not touch the doorknob.
Don't look in the doorknob.
Don't look in the doorknob.
Honestly, that would have been for me so fucking hilarious if someone got sucked into a doorknob. Right? They did the thing. They did the thing in the bathroom stall where there's not really any reflective surface.
Well,
right?
no. Well, in the bathroom, the porcelain on the toilet can be reflective, and the water in the toilet can be reflective.
Yeah, but the door was shut. The stall door was shut, and the guy like walks in. I guess maybe he looks underneath or whatever, but he just gets sucked under.
And maybe he was looking at the flashlight and reflects light back.
Maybe, yeah. I think we're pushing, but
I'm trying to save it from drowning, man.
I'm trying. But yeah, I think that would have been funny. But yeah, like that when someone is doing like a monologue in these found footage films, usually they will go on for a good couple of minutes. And this one, the guy interrupts. I was like, "Why are you doing that? That's not going to help us in this situation." She's like, "Well, in case someone finds this, they need to know what to do or whatever." I'm like, that was funny. That was good.
But ultimately in the ending, man, everybody bit it, right? So in their own way. And the last two that were left were the was it the camera guy or the boom guy? The camera guy, right?
Yeah, boom guy gets sucked under the
portal.
stall.
Yeah, the portal. So the boom guy got slid across the floor, and you can hear the snap in his neck. Which I see. This is the thing, is like you don't know if it's a spirit or anything because, like, you see the neck snap, you see the camera move towards her, and then screaming, and then fade to black. So, was it something that came out of a portal? If it did, where did it come from? Because we didn't see it, anything like that. So it's a lot of holes. It's a lot of holes. It's like Swiss cheese.
Yeah, it's definitely Swiss cheesy, and I think I understand the aspect of leaving things up to the imagination, and your imagination is so much more vast than anything someone can show you. I understand that. I think there's elements that you kind of need to show off. Like there's parts where they try it, like when he's in the bathroom and he's looking through the window, and there's the figure like on the other side, the big tall figure who's like looking through the window and try to like open the door. I mean, that there's some elements of that. There's a part where someone's in the background and they like turn around and walk away, but it's not any sort of discernible feature or like a person that we recognize or anything like that. So
and we couldn't even say it's the missing teacher or the student because there was no, at least I don't remember, there was no photograph of them or anything to compare.
The one thing that stood out was there is one like missing person poster like stuck on the bulletin board of the school. I wonder if that's the student, the girl.
Good call. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, I just thought of that there. When they're interviewing the dean, there's a poster, and it's like a missing person poster. I think maybe that might be the student, but again, we don't really see, like, we don't really know. There's not
right,
and I feel like to an extent as well, like they also don't know. They're in over their head, so it almost makes sense that we kind of don't fully understand it. And yeah, I can agree with that to a certain extent, but when there's some elements that just aren't flat out explained, I think that just causes more confusion. And there was too many people like around for this, like
right.
It just didn't make sense. It gets to the point where they're like fighting in the classroom, like the sound guy and then Gaston are like fighting in the classroom, and like what has he said? I'm going to stick this broom up your ass.
All the way
up your ass. And then, yeah, they start to, go head to head. Like, it just, cohesion is my word of the day, I guess.
Cohesion,
yeah. Just needed a bit more, something to cement all the ideas together and like sort of play off each other. But I guess, like it said, it was filmed over 3 days. So, I mean, fair enough. If you can get that sort of stuff done in 3 days and then add some things after the fact, fair enough. But yeah, it's probably not a movie I'm going to watch again. I'll be honest.
Yeah, same. Well, now that we've discussed all that we need to discuss, I think it's about that time we come down to the rating system.
I think so too. I think I may take the honors this week, David, of starting first. Yeah, there's some good points to this movie. I can feel the love from a found footage perspective. I can see that there's a lot of ideas, but I think the end result is that there was too many ideas that caused a whole lot of confusion and glaring plot holes that I particularly wasn't a fan of. The start and the end for me were probably the best parts, due to the acting involved and the way the characters are portrayed. Definitely starts on a good foot, falls off its bike, and starts to pick itself back up towards the end. Probably one, like I said, it's probably one I'm not really going to watch again. But you should definitely check it out. I will preface by saying that. But for me, overall, I think it's going to be a 2 tapes for me. I think the bad outweighs the good in this, and it just sort of turns into this sort of muddled story that doesn't really feel cohesive.
Right on. So, I think that there was a lot of holes, like you said, in this situation or in this particular movie. The bad does outweigh the good. Very, very much Swiss cheese throughout this whole movie. I really didn't know what was happening. If it was truly a cult, if it was truly, dealing with spirits. There was just too many things going on at one time and not enough information to leave it up to me to decide. So there were some good parts, like you said, the things that the interview with the guy that ran the news station, stuff like that. Those are what things that made it believable, right? So it's not all bad. There is some good in this. And with that being said, this is definitely not a burning tape, because it's not all bad. If it was all bad across the board, we would be at a burning tape right now. But being that there was a couple of good points in here, for me, it's going to be a 1 tape.
All right. Yeah. I was on the fence. I was, I think 2 for me is me being very generous. I think definitely something to watch and experience for yourself. I mean, free YouTube found footage films. And who knows? It might not even be, someone's probably just posted it on there, but that's where we watched it. And
right.
Definitely check it out if you're looking for some found footage that's on a shorter runtime than you'll normally see. There's definitely some ideas in here. There's definitely found footage tropes, but at the end of the day, make your own decisions and enjoy found footage any way that you can.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if anybody's got a different perspective on this, if they see it, something maybe we missed, something that, we overlooked that, that leans more, one way or the other as far as where the story was going. So yeah, I'm curious to see if anybody checks this out and, leaves us some feedback on Instagram, on our Instagram page. We always leave posts about every movie. So if you are on there and you do check it out, definitely leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you rate it. You might enjoy it.
Definitely let us know. Be sure to check us out on Spotify, Amazon, Apple Podcasts, and also YouTube. We're also on Instagram at We Found a Tape anywhere. And yeah.
Right on, right on. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. And don't forget, be kind and rewind.